He pushed us to start thinking early, to rewrite the pitch in line with Series A. And I'm so glad we did that because he was right. Everything did take much longer. I mean, it took us like 13 months to raise Series A. It was really big difference. The only bad thing was we started so early that we weren't quite ready yet. We had people say that they would commit to the raise early on, and it took so long that they had run out of money by the time we were closing. That happened to like 4 or 5 investors. It was really rough, and it was really unexpected too. So it was kind of like we had to raise twice.
Welcome to the Inside the Round podcast, where you get to learn about raising capital from founders who have just done it. I'm Helena Fogarty. I'm a fundraising expert who helps startups raise their seed and Series A rounds. Today, I'm speaking with Maria Intscher-Owrang of Simplifyber. Simplifyber is revolutionizing how we make clothing and soft goods. They've developed the world's first fully molded garments made directly from a liquid cellulose-based material called fibron. Think 3D printing for fashion, but using biodegradable plant-based materials instead of plastics. Their process eliminates spinning, weaving, cutting, and sewing, and removes 60% of the manufacturing steps while using 88% less labor. The result? Their products are 100% biodegradable and can be returned to nature. What makes Maria's story particularly compelling is her incredible background. She has over 20 years as a fashion designer at Alexander McQueen, Calvin Klein, and Vera Wang. She saw the industry's environmental impact firsthand and set out to completely reimagine how clothes are made. Simplifyber debuted with the Danish brand Gani at Paris Fashion Week in September 2024, showcasing a cellulose-based shoe upper. The company has raised over $15 million in total, including a recent $12 million Series A, led by Suzano Ventures, with @ONE Ventures, Techstars, and others on the cap table. So let's explore how a fashion insider convinced investors to back an entirely new manufacturing category. It's so good to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's really good to see you again.
Yes. As I was, prepping for our first conversation, which happens outside of this room, I remembered that we had met early in the pandemic, so virtually.
Yeah.
Because we were both members of Chief at the time.
Exactly.
And I think at that time, this was very early in the beginning of the company. So I'd love to hear how you go from where we were in early 2020 to raising money, raising your pre-seed, your seed, and now a Series A.
Yeah, it's been a long and winding road, but I would have to say that Chief played a big part of it because working in fashion as a designer, I was very limited in my scope of people that I was meeting professionally. So it was really good for me to be part of an executive club and meet other people at my level and beyond who could inspire me, who could fill gaps in my knowledge, and who could also make me realize how many of my skills were transferable. So it all started with an entrepreneur group in Chief and outside of Chief as well. And that really taught me the early steps of how to think about a business and raising money and some of the connections that I could look up online and it was really helpful. So the first thing I learned was about a pitch deck. So I made a little pitch deck. And, obviously my first try wasn't very good, but at least it was a start. And then, and then I heard about things like Y Combinator and Techstars and other kind of accelerators. And I also met some people who had a completely different background from me. Like one of my good friends, she's a lawyer, and I met her through that group as well. And I knew we had to be friends because we were asked the same question, and she came at the question from the back end of where I would start. Yeah. And I thought, well, I just love that I'm meeting people who are so different from me and such different knowledge. And she actually was a very big help to me as well, because she kind of gave me a background in some of the legal things that I had to think about.
Amazing. I mean, feel free to drop any names of
Oh,
the
yeah. So
organizations if you want to. Yeah.
Dana Gilland, she
Uh-huh.
was actually one of our first investors as well.
Amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
good.
She's amazing. She's so great.
And the entrepreneurship group, do you want to mention
Yeah,
that?
so that was, again, part of Chief. It spun out later, especially during COVID, and we all kind of did our own things. But
Cool.
yeah, that's where I met just a ton of people all wanting to kind of do something on their own or help do something. Yeah.
Amazing. And so what was it like, literally, because you were going from some of my favorite fashion houses. Like I am a McQueen. I absolutely love Alexander McQueen because, I mean,
He was
insane,
amazing. Yeah.
incredible. And one of the fashion designers that I felt like I could walk into Bergdorf, try on a suit, and walk out without having it tailored at all.
Yeah.
Like it just worked for my body.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which, I was working at Chanel at that time, and Chanel does not work for my body.
Oh, really?
No, it's so, I feel like there's
Oh.
so much more to me. Chanel's more straight up and down
Mhm.
focused, and McQueen was like, let's accentuate the curves, even to like exaggerating the
Yeah.
curves.
Yeah.
So it worked for me. But anyway, I digress. So tell me really, what was that like going from being a designer,
Mhm.
a very high end, and someone up at the upper echelons, to working in manufacturing and creating kind of a fiber and a new process.
Yeah, big change. Well, being a designer, first of all, it's not glamorous. It's a lot of work. It's very hands-on. I mean, you're either drawing or you're draping or both.
Yeah.
12 hours a day, 100 hours
Very physical.
a week. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very physical, very creative. But one thing I learned from that experience is just not to be precious about anything. Produce as much as you can, and then funnel all of the good things into the funnel that make the most sense, and throw away the rest, or learn from the rest.
That's incredible.
Yeah, so that's taught me a lot, to remember as I do this business, not to be precious about any of it. And, in general, making a business is a creative endeavor, especially at the conceptual level. If you're making something that's never been done before, that's highly creative. So for me, it was kind of like meta design, because it was building the technology to be able to enable people to make a new type of design. And that's what really excited me. And that's something that I had been searching for as a designer for, 4 or 5 years previous to that, and just hadn't found it.
Yeah, because I don't have the numbers with me. You might have the numbers off the top of your head, but we know that fashion, overproduces garments. It's created a lot of waste in our world, and also the manufacturing processes are not great for the environment in many cases.
Well, and it's just such a long, risky supply chain, and that's a big reason why the industry isn't doing well. And then you get also people making very bad choices where they're not prioritizing the environment because their margins are so low and they have to do whatever they can. So, most people, the only kind of lever they can pull in terms of being able to offer something at a competitive price is cheaping out on the materials.
Yeah.
And so I saw that play out over decades. And what that resulted in was an industry that went from using mostly natural materials to an industry that now uses mostly polyester and plastic materials. And that I find disgusting, especially when it's purely done for price.
Yeah.
But that really led me to realize that what we need is a system of using natural materials that's more automated and more efficient so that they can compete at a price level with plastic and polyester. So that's really what Simplifyber was designed to do. And in addition to fashion, there are many, many more applications because, as I found, there are a ton more industries with the same problem. People want to be able to use natural materials, but plastic is so easy. There are so many scaled methods for using plastic, and very few scaled methods for using natural materials. And it doesn't have to be that way. It's just because plastic came into being in our lives at a point when we needed scale as humans. So that's just how it happened to work.
And can you tell me more about developing this idea of Simplifyber? Like, how did you learn the technology? Like I don't know. How did you do it? Tell me.
Yeah. So it had very humble roots. I thought I was really inspired by 3D printing.
Yeah.
Because what I love about that is it's automating something by taking things back to the very basic level, right? So you're just working on layers and layers and layers.
Mm-hmm.
It's like computers, also it's ones and zeros, the most basic thing. So I was thinking, how do you take fashion back to the most basic element? And for me, it's fibers. Mm-hmm. Because I'd seen people try to automate sewing fabrics, and for me, it's crazy. It's anachronistic. It doesn't make sense. Those fabrics don't even have to be there. You can go straight from fiber to shape. So that's what we did. And I knew there would be a few different ways to get there. But first, we started playing around in the kitchen. I bought fibers off the internet. I also saved some dryer lint over like a few months. I felt like a crazy person. And just, played with what they do and how you could bond them together and what happens when you move them and all of that. And made the first few prototypes, and it seemed to be a thing. I mean, these prototypes, they wouldn't hold together if you went out in the rain, but they showed the concept. And at the time, I met my co-founder during that process, and we decided maybe it's time to kind of take this and find a chemistry lab, and so we don't hurt ourselves.
Yeah.
And do it there. So what we did was we started with fibers. I told the research team what I wanted to do, and we tried everything from 3D printing to molding, to spraying, to a whole bunch of different stuff. And what seemed to scale the best, or have the potential to scale the best with current technology, is molding. Mm-hmm. So that's really what we chose, and that's what we went deep into. And the rest is the journey of Simplifyber.
So what are what are the products like?
Yeah, so I didn't wear my shoes today because it's so snowy out, but I will send you pictures. Basically, they are 3D shapes created in one piece.
Yeah.
So you can put all kinds of details and shapes. It's kind of like, it's more like a Marvel superhero costume than how a real traditional shoe is put together. Yeah. You can basically sculpt whatever you want, the shape you want. It can be more foot shaped. It can also have decoration all over it. It costs the same. It's really, I guess it would be very similar to what you saw plastic do. Mm-hmm. So you can imagine those 3D printed or molded plastic shoes and all the possibilities you have with that. Well, you can do that stuff with our natural material, and it doesn't have to be plastic, and it looks and feels different. It's like if paper could do that.
Yeah. I've been looking at some of the designs that, I'm going to blank on his name, but he was working with Kanye on the famous shoe, and now he's at Crocs.
Yeah.
I was looking at that. I'm just fascinated, right? And I think Crocs just came out with a Lego shoe, which is crazy.
Yeah, I saw that.
But when you're working with fibers, are we working with something that's more that's sometimes more flexible or more breathable, or what are the differences then?
So there's a pretty wide span of the things that we can make in this process, and I would say that our technology is the process itself, and the family of materials is not any one particular product, but within the family of materials, what we can make. It ranges between something you can crush in your hand and, it's pliable, to something that is stiff as a rock and super, super hard and rigid. So it has a lot of different applications. What it is not, it's not a chiffon dress. It's not like ever going to be super drapey just because of the limitations of the structure. But, you can have different thicknesses, you can have different levels of flexibility, and you can have different materials and level of seal and protection as well.
Do you see a world where we're ever able to replace all the synthetics in our stretchy material?
Yes, I do. Yeah, there are different ways of doing that. We don't make stretchy material yet, but I've seen some really interesting things with proteins, and you can mimic some of the mollusk muscles, for example.
Wow. Yeah.
So there's been some work in that. I don't know how far it is. And you can also do some bio-based versions of plastics as well. So I think one of those two sets of research will result in some new products. Yeah.
Because, I had a line of swimwear for a while, and
Yeah.
I think the best that we could do then was, using recycled materials for our material.
Yeah. It's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, swimwear is really tough because there are a lot of constraints that you have to deal with. But I have seen like baby steps of small companies that are producing material that can stretch enough for swims or swim. But it's really hard to build that up from scratch.
Yeah.
And it's just like us, you have to start from nothing and then get that to scale before people can even start seeing that in stores.
Yeah. Or even people who are making the goods could even source it.
Have a chance to produce. Yeah, exactly. Because right now, with the struggle with young material companies is the fact that, they have to build this scale to be able to even have a product to give more than one customer at a time. Because like up until now, for example, we've just been scaling, and we're going to be at production scale within the next couple of months. We have all of the equipment in house. But before that, we were lucky if we could make enough material for 200 pairs of shoes a month. And that would like tap us out.
Yeah.
So now we'll be able to make 30,000 a month.
That's a big jump. So let's rewind it back to like 2020, 2021, when you raised your first round. So you raised in 2021, correct?
We did.
And Techstars was one of the first investors?
Yes. Yeah. And so we'd actually been trying to raise for a while before that. So we started the company unofficially, I would say, like the year before, and we bootstrapped it for the first year. So we paid our research partners ourselves. We paid, all the travel and all of the costs ourselves.
Yeah.
And the intention was to fund that part, but we were ready to step in if we didn't. And I'm glad we did, because the company wouldn't have been worth very much at that point. So we would have lost a lot of equity if we wouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
And when we entered Techstars, that was the buy-in that people needed. You just need that first buy-in.
It's a big buy-in.
Yeah.
I mean, what was that like? Because
it was exciting.
Was it Techstars New York?
No, it was Techstars in Indianapolis. It was
Okay.
a specific hard tech one.
Yeah.
For environmentally conscious companies.
So did you relocate for 16 weeks or so?
Yeah, for 3 months we were in Indianapolis. Yeah, and it was fun. I'd already relocated when we were working in labs anyway, so for me it wasn't a big deal.
Yeah.
And and my co-founder was just in Nashville, so that was easy for him.
That's very cool, because when I think about Techstars, the context I have Techstars is mostly the New York one, which is very techy, and
they're all over the world.
Yeah,
It's
amazing.
a big one. Yeah.
And it was a good experience.
It was fantastic, because what it did was it just really got us in shape to be able to pitch well and know what to do with that.
Yeah.
That we learned kind of what the deals should look like, what to watch out for, how to pitch. We just repeated pitching like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times.
Yeah.
And that really helps. We met a lot of people through Techstars. We met a lot of people during Techstars because they'd been hearing about us. Like even the people that we'd already pitched before we got accepted, they'd been kind of following our journey all along that
Yeah.
time. And then they jumped in when Techstars invested. So, yeah, and that's another thing that I've learned is like, even when you get a no, if it's an investor that seems to be well aligned and you like them and they like you,
Yeah.
you're having good conversations. That's never a waste.
Yeah.
It's never a waste. It should not be thought of that way. It's, people, if they want to help you and they're excited about what you do, that's a value.
Yeah.
They could come up with intros, they might invest later, and that's a huge honor and compliment and like learning opportunity as well.
Yeah. And I think it's so true. Well, there's two things I want to call out there. First, I love the way that you framed it, saying if you find someone who's interested and you like them and they like you, that's a really important point.
Well, that's the most
something I tell
important
people all the
point.
time. I'm like,
Yeah.
listen, you don't have to be talking to anybody. You don't like, if you don't like them,
No,
you don't have to be talking to them.
absolutely.
There's enough people out there that you can find the right flavor.
Yeah, and if they're
vice
annoying
versa.
as people you're pitching to, they're going to be worse as investors. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess the second part of that is the idea of creating this backer army or angel army or whatever. It's like people who are interested in what you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
and they can open the door to investment, to partnerships, to revenue.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
we still benefit from some of those early relationships. And, it's just about kind of receiving everything and meeting people and remembering them and like getting along with people and like listening to their advice. And it's great. I actually really love the whole fundraising process. I'm one of the few people that does, I think.
Yeah.
But I just love meeting people and I love hearing what they have to say and also hearing the questions because it really sets companies up to know what's important. You have to do all of these things for when you're pitching, but there are things you should anyway be doing to set up your company.
Yep.
So none of it's a waste of time.
That might be a clip that we pull. That was amazing. That was so true and so amazing. I always liked raising money because I got to speak to so many really interesting people
Yeah,
who are interested in what I was doing or they wouldn't have taken a meeting.
totally.
So while I get when people say, oh, fundraising is hell and is difficult. Yeah, it's a lot of work. And there are going to be some weird conversations in there.
Yeah.
100%.
Yes.
So get ready. But also, you get to meet a lot of really cool people.
Yes, it's amazing. It's
Yeah.
so neat.
Yeah.
Like I just love it. And I guess I was starved for meeting people outside of fashion for so long that I just really appreciate the chance to meet everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's very cool. So when you got into Techstars, did you feel like your, I guess, round came together pretty quickly after that?
Yeah, I mean, I would say within the first month of Techstars, we had enough for our pre-seed, and then I think we might have added like a little bit here and there after during Techstars, and it was more than we thought we would get or need, and we were even considering, should we open it up for more? And then we had the really good advice from somebody at Techstars who had jumped in on the lead. And he said, just only raise what you really need because this is very expensive money.
Yeah.
And that was really good advice because it was really expensive money.
Yes. And it was also 2021, right?
Yeah.
So it was a frothy, quote unquote, market, but I don't know if you were experiencing that frothiness.
I mean, it's always hard at the beginning.
Yeah.
So maybe it would have been harder for us now than at that time. But yeah, it's hard. It's really hard. Like it's a numbers game. Like you have to meet hundreds and hundreds of people. Yeah. You get to meet hundreds and hundreds of people.
Do you, are you good with remembering people and their details?
I make a lot of notes.
Okay.
So I'm not good at it. My co-founder, Phil Cohen, he's fantastic at it.
Yeah.
So he can fill in the gaps usually. I tend to take good enough notes that I can like go back to things and really remember what happened. But I'm a visual person. So I'm like trying to reconcile that always with my conversations.
Yeah.
Remembering names and stuff.
And how did you split that up between you and Phil in terms of fundraising?
So Phil is incredibly efficient at communication. So he really took over that part of things, like in terms of like follow-ups and written communication, which I was really grateful for because I'm a very slow writer. I can write well, but it takes me like 2 hours. And he's really effective at that. So that was a clear thing. Also, I'm more of a product person. He's more of a business guy. So that was a really clear divide. We never really had to discuss who's doing what, which was great because we had very, very different skill sets.
Would you say, but did you both show up to pitch? Was it one person?
No, we both
Okay.
pitched. Yeah.
That's excellent.
Yeah. And generally, we at Techstars, we learned we should have this kind of presentation and it should be this routine where we know who's handling what and all the words are practiced and we could rattle it off at 3 a.m. if we needed to. But yeah, like my section was generally about the vision and the problem and, the main idea of what we were doing. And then Phil would back that up with all of the financial side and the projections and where this could go. And
Yeah, that's
it
great.
was effective.
Yeah, it's definitely helpful to know who's handling which, so there's no
Yes.
awkward pause.
Yeah, no,
Right?
totally. Yeah.
So it makes everyone feel a little just like interrupted, I guess.
Yes.
So you've since raised another 2 rounds, right?
Yeah.
How was it after you then went out for your round after 2021? When was the next raise? 2023?
Next raise, next raise was 2022. We did our seed. And we finished that raise. We finished the first part of it in April, May, and then we did a second part of it in June. And the total was 4.2 million for that.
And that's a really interesting time because there was a market correction in early May.
Yeah, we were really lucky I'm really happy to get it done at that time. I think the timing's been on our side.
Yeah.
With all of it. But yeah.
Did you experience any big differences or people dropping out of the second half of that?
No, not
That's
really. We had some dropout the next time, but the seed was quick enough that it was all okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what do you recall about the preparation that you did for the seed and how that was different from your pre-seed work?
Let's see. The preparation that we did for our seed, I would say it was just kind of a more evidence-backed version of what we did for our pre-seed. Pre-seed, we barely had anything. I mean, we were just in a contract lab, and by seed, we'd actually been making our first products and had our first kind of corporate partner.
Yeah.
So we had things to show. It was just more rounded out that way. We could start to see what the things were looking like. It wasn't all just kind of an abstract idea anymore.
Yeah.
But at that time, we still weren't in our own lab. The seed allowed us to be in our own lab and have our own company that was not remote. So that was great.
When you were in investment meetings, were these all virtual still, or were they?
Mostly. Mostly. We had a few things that we presented at, a few events, and that allowed us to meet some of our investors. In fact, it allowed us to meet our lead investor. But yeah, most of pre-seed and seed was virtual. And it was great because what we're doing is so specific that there is a smaller pool of investors and they're kind of spread all around. So it's good to not have to travel quite so far to see all of them. I think it's not as necessary if you're located in Silicon Valley and you're doing something really focused for that group. But with us, it really made a difference. So that helped.
I remember meeting with a potential investor who was in the garment world. and I came with samples because you're supposed to. And he just picked them up and like started stretching them as far as he could to see what would happen.
Oh, yes.
And
we
I
get a
almost
lot of
died.
that, and we get a lot of that.
Yeah,
It's so rude.
I was like, but I passed the test.
That's good. Good for you.
But did you experience that?
Oh,
where people,
yeah,
like, plan?
so much.
Yeah.
Like we even, we still laugh about this. We even had these business cards made in our material. And like, when you hand somebody a business card, you normally you just take it and you say thank you. But of course, like people just like try to rip these every time. They
Wow.
couldn't rip them, but
Yeah.
they tried. It was hilarious. We just think how rude. Like,
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I almost like I think my heart stopped beating, and I was like, oh, thank God for good production. I couldn't hear because
Yeah.
in swimwear and like they do, just for the audience, like they do a stitch before they do a stitch, and the stitch is actually
Yeah.
meant to be ripped out if it's elasticy.
Oh yeah.
On purpose, but you never know if your factory has done that. So I was worried. I was like, is he going to hear like the stitch starting to come undone? But no, we passed.
That's great.
Whew.
That's good.
It's crazy. But yeah, people are wild when you have something to touch and feel.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's really funny. Also when we go to like trade fairs and stuff. I mean, it's funny as well because the best behaved people are usually the ones we end up working with. They're like the ones who know how to like deal with this. They don't have to like rip it to know if it's gonna hold together. But like we get a lot of like inexperienced people or students, and they're usually actually the more likely to rip things, I have to say.
Or try to.
Yeah.
They can.
But they can't anymore. Yeah. At the beginning, you could rip our stuff, but now you can't.
When you first started pitching investors, what was their reaction to you and to 3D print, or like, it's not 3D printing, it's molded.
It's molded. Yeah.
Yeah, it's molded.
Yeah.
Can you say fibers?
Yeah, molded fibers.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't want to say fabric. That's I was trying to correct myself.
Material.
Yes, material. Yes, that's perfect. You've done this before. So, what was a reaction that you got for this idea?
Yeah, I mean, again, like when you're meeting investors, you're really just at the first meeting just trying to kind of weed out who is just not the right fit for you and who is.
Yeah.
So really every pitch starts with them talking about their fund or their business or their thesis. And then we can kind of quickly determine if it's a good fit for us or not. And then we do our pitch. We can tailor it a little bit depending on who we're talking to. But, if it's just not a fit, we see it immediately. And that happened some of the time. But I would say that what we're doing is very unusual and strange. So people always had a ton of questions, even if they were not interested. And that was fun. I found that fun. And then you can kind of use that curiosity to build a rapport. And like a lot of the people working in VCs at the early stage are builders too. And they want to figure out how, like they're curious. They're curious people. And I really relate to that. So we had some really fun conversations, even with people that didn't invest. And I think that also we're pretty non-traditional as a team. And I believe that people probably think that's refreshing. I'm sure there are some people who are scared by that, but I think that people like to meet a variety of different founders, and it's very clear why we are doing what we're doing, why we started this company, and we have the experience and the network to do that. So that's reassuring for people. And in the end, that's the more important part that they care about. And, the more founders that I meet especially of hard tech, the more diverse set of people I see. Like it's all a bunch of, crazy people doing crazy things. So.
Well, creating new things.
Yeah.
Inventing.
Yeah. And it's like there's a similar mindset that it attracts as well. So like we might look a little different from most other founders, but we have that deep connection of like, we want to build something that never existed before, or we want to change something that's broken, or, you know, so yeah.
Create real lasting change in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what y'all are
Yeah,
doing.
exactly.
Like, that's amazing.
Yeah, yeah, and it's fun.
Yeah.
It's like, and we've made a lot of friends in the community because like we all understand each other, and we know the struggle, and yeah, there are a lot of really nice people.
Yeah. Were there any investors that after the first meeting you knew were not a good fit, and you, like you said there were, but how did you deal with that?
You just at the end of the meeting, you thank them for their time, and you're always nice, and I don't know. I mean, you can even be honest with people. Usually the investors will say, hey, we think it's not a good fit right now, but keep in touch, or, you know, bother us for intros, and we add them to our list of people to communicate with. And if they know people we'd like to meet, we hit them up for intros. But like, it's never a bad conversation. It's never a, well, F you at the end, you know. Plus, I'm Canadian. I just don't do that. So.
Well, good day to you too.
Yeah, exactly.
What were some common objections that you met when you were out there raising money? The first, you like pre-seed and then seed, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a resistance to hard tech or physical technology in general, because it's not perceived as being as easy as software. I would disagree with that in some ways, but like definitely the advantage to it is you don't have as much competition. But, you know, investors that feel safe in software or feel safe in like one field, and we're way out of that, definitely that's a no. That's fine. We accept that. I would say in the realm of investors that do hard tech and that are used to working with this type of thing, some of the pushback we got was CapEx related. They were like, oh, I bet this is going to cost a lot in terms of the equipment you have to buy and blah, blah, blah. It didn't. But, and let's see, what was some other pushback? I don't know, people, you know, my co-founder Phil calls it getting to a yes or getting to a no. Like, do people want to get to a yes or do people want to get to a no? And you like, if they try to just pick holes in it the whole time, it's very obviously trying to get to a no. So it'd be like every question's kind of tainted with that, like, I don't believe what you're telling me thing, or you know, oh, but I bet it can't do this, or they try and like catch you out. So.
I mean, there is data that shows that if you are different, if you are more diverse, meaning not a white male who's age 22 and went to Stanford, you get different types of questions in these types of meetings. Yeah. So questions that tend to be more focused on the risk and the downside rather than the upside. That just
interesting. I didn't know that.
Patriarchy, like that just.
Wow. Well, that's going back to like what I love though. I love criticism and I love challenges. So every pitch for me was like going to a game show. Like, I just really love it because like it's fun to answer those rapid fire questions. So I was just enjoying it.
Yeah, but that's good. And something that I try to push my founders that I work with to is like their job as a founder is to help people get to that yes or disqualify them. Yeah.
Like you just need to help them understand what you're telling them
with as little emotion as possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
On the founder's part.
Yes,
even though it's so critical that they raise this money, it's in that particular moment. It's just really important that for your process that you're able to either know you're moving forward with someone or put them on the back burner. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, and it's nothing personal.
Yes,
it's really nothing personal. And like I would say, like, Yeah, there should be emotion. It should be passion. It should be excitement.
Yes.
But it doesn't have to be like resentment or expectation or anything like that. We're not entitled to an investment from anybody, you know.
Yeah. I think the, I don't know, is desperation an emotion? It's a mood.
Well, you
So we try to check
definitely
that at
try
the
not to
door.
show that because
Yeah.
that's the red flag. But
Yeah, that's trying to move that,
Yeah. And it's
exercise
not-
that before
and
you
it's-
walk in the
you know,
room.
and it's important not to feel that. Like I think being older founders, we didn't have that sense of desperation because, you know, for me, I had really no expectation of like how far we could take this. I just really enjoyed the whole process, and I was curious and learning and meeting people.
Yeah.
So for me, it wouldn't have been a failure if we wouldn't have raised any money. I still got to do all this cool stuff. So I think that's maybe how my perception changed how we came across in a good way.
Yeah. That's very cool. So now fast forwarding to your Series A. When did you close?
So we closed at the end of December.
Amazing.
Yeah, and
Congratulations.
actually we got a little bit more beginning in Q1 2025 as well. So we
That's great.
officially closed in Q1.
Did your raise meet the expectations of what you were planning to raise?
Pretty much. I mean, I think we were wondering if we should raise a hair more at the beginning of the process, but then again, like it was this, well, this is really expensive money. Like we should only raise what we absolutely need thing. And so we set a target and and we actually met that target.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah. And we actually had to meet that target because the lead that we found wouldn't invest unless we met that target.
Yeah.
So it was, again, a kind of a game show to like get that exact amount on the table.
Yeah. And so can you tell me a little bit about when did you start thinking about, when did you start preparing? When did you start your action of like reaching out to people? And did you already have some people earmarked for this round?
Yes. Yeah. So during our last set of pitches, we met people who were too later stage for us and, you know, too late stage for us. And we kept all of those names and went back to them for the Series A. And those were the beginning of what we started with, which was perfect. And it was great as well because we'd already met them, so they'd been able to see our progress, which was quite a bit. We got the seed put to bed in June of 2022. And then we spent the next several months building up the team in Raleigh. We had our office and lab in Raleigh of our own for the first time. I would say we spent about 8 months doing that. And then very kindly, one of our seed investors started meeting with us and saying, well, poke, this is going to take a little longer than you're thinking, probably. So
Good investor.
yes,
Nice.
he's been one of our wonderful investors, Tommy Leap. And he pushed us to start thinking early, to rewrite the pitch in line with Series A. And I'm so glad we did that because he was right. Everything did take much longer.
Yeah.
And it took us like 13 months to raise Series A. It was really big difference.
It's a huge, it's a different round. So that's different. But also, coming from, let's say the majority or doing the majority of the work on the raise prior to May 4th of 2022, like that, there was a big change, a big correction.
Yeah.
Like I was working with clients during that period of time and it was like nobody was writing checks or wiring money.
Yeah, it was really, really tough.
Yeah. And then there was, Silicon Valley Bank went under. Like there's all kinds of things.
And
that
we
kept
were
happening.
our money was all in
boy.
Silicon Valley Bank,
Oh,
which
boy.
is another fun story.
Yeah.
But, fortunately, we have a wonderful set of investors, and they have really helped us along the way with meeting more people who are like-minded and who want to see this work. And so, we used every round and just built upon it for the next round. And I think that's all you can do because it's tough out there. Every year is tougher, and every stage is tougher too. So it like consistently weeds out everybody who's not thinking early, who's not communicating with their investors, and I'm so glad we started early.
Yeah.
And the only bad thing was we started so early that we weren't quite ready yet. And we had people say that they would commit to the raise early on, even some from our seed round. And it took so long that they had run out of money by the time we were closing.
Yeah.
That happened to like 4 or 5 investors.
Oh, that's rough.
Yeah, it was really rough. And it was really unexpected too.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like we had to raise twice.
Yeah.
But we did it, and I think that it worked out really, really well, and the timing worked out great. We got another bunch of really fantastic investors. I mean, we've been so lucky with that.
So, seeing that you just closed, might bring a little bit more in. Love that. But I love that journey for you. But when do you start thinking about the next one? And is the next one 2 years out? Is it 18 months out? Do you have any insight into that?
Yeah, so we've really been stretching out our runway for the last raise. So it's already been over a year since we did the majority of that raise, and we still have a lot of time left.
Good.
We're going to be starting to raise, I think, in the summer. We said, or we're going to be like preparing ourselves, and getting in position and having those pre-meetings. You can always have meetings early, even when it's not officially open, and it's kind of exciting because you can say, well, it's not open yet, but you guys are special. And so there's always a way to spin things. But I think the main decider is going to be, when do we have all of the things in place that makes this compelling for people?
Yeah. Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit about how you got your first partnership with Ghani?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So we went to an event put on by one of our seed investors in Paris. And it was during the time when it was during Biofabricate. So that was an event that we were part of. And it was just one of like the parties that happen in the evening. And we met them there.
Cool.
And they were really cool, and we loved them. Yeah. And they were really excited. And things just happened quite quickly after that. We met them again at Linea Pelle, and met their designers, and sent things back and forth a little bit. And things came together quite quickly after that because they needed something for the next show. So we didn't have a lot of time, and it was almost insane that we took that challenge. But we tend to do that. We always take the projects that are insane and somehow manage to do them. So.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
So your Series A was led by Suzano Ventures, which is it's the largest wood pulp supplier. Pulp supplier is what I'm understanding.
Yeah.
So they're a supplier and an investor.
Yes, and we've been working with Suzano since before we started the company officially. So they've been always a raw material source for us. And what they do is really interesting because they specialize in eucalyptus fibers. And anyone who works in paper and cellulose will tell you that you have different properties depending on which tree it is. And the main benefit of eucalyptus fibers is that it's one of the quickest growing plants out there. So It's a really good farmable fiber. So we'd been using their materials through other sources. And then we, as we meet tons of investors, we had one investor that recommended them to us, and we set up a meeting, and we just had a great, set of early meetings with them. And they even came to visit us really early on. And it was a little bit uncomfortable for us because they really knew this space and they were asking a lot of questions. And it was really a judgment call as to, what should we share with them? What should we keep inside the kimono? But we shared up into our comfort level and maybe like 10% beyond, and it was worth it.
That's
and
good
they've
relationship
actually
building
been
right there.
helpful. Yeah.
Like 10% beyond, then they
Yeah.
come 10%.
Yeah.
That's how vulnerability and openness
Exactly.
happens, transparency opens. That's pretty cool. And so what is the benefit of having them as a supplier and an investor?
Yeah. So obviously they have a lot of technical insight. They know what this field looks like in terms of, all of the supply chain and even some of the chemistry that goes with these materials. But also, more importantly, it's hard for small companies to deal with pulp and paper suppliers directly most of the time because you have to order such large quantities. So we're in touch with people who can help us with that. We're at that in-between point where we're starting to order large quantities. So it's not samples anymore, but like we don't want a truckload of things. So they're helping us with that.
Yeah, that's very cool. What are some of your scaling challenges at this point?
So that's one of them, the not wanting a truckload of things. And up until this point, it's been the equipment. So we've built out several versions of equipment that helped us, make things a little bit quicker. But we decided that the quickest way of actually getting a full-scale production set of equipment is to modify existing equipment that was used for something else. And we're modifying the hardware, we're reprogramming it, and doing it that way. So we only have to build out part of it rather than the whole thing. And that's been cheaper and way faster than doing it the other way. We built our last version of our equipment ourselves and had it made. And it took a really long time, and it was a little janky, and because we're not equipment builders, we're technology people and we're innovators, but there are people who do that all day long. So like get them to do that and then just buy it and change it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you go to Raleigh, when you go to is it what do you call your space? Is it a lab now? Is it manufacturing? Is it both?
It's a lab. Yeah, it's both.
Okay, yeah.
I don't even know what we call it. We call it our facility, I guess.
your facility.
Yeah.
So give me an inside peek to what that's like. I mean, are we talking hard hats? Are we talking like you've got a jumpsuit on when you go out into the facility? Or
That's such a great
is it more
question.
normal?
It's part of it is offices, part of it is a wet lab, and part of it is the manufacturing warehouse.
Okay.
So you wear different things in different places. So in the office part, it's just normal clothes. But as soon as you go to the labs, you have to put on your eyeglasses, and
goggles.
your PPE.
Yeah.
And if you go into the warehouse, you'll have to put on your hard shoes and your goggles and your PPE. Although now that we have our fancy machine, we might not have to do the hard shoes anymore.
So the hard shoes mean you got a hard toe in there?
Yeah.
Oh.
So because our fancy machine is, we call it the Simplifyber.
Yeah.
It's behind glass, so it's more protected. So we're debating if we even need that. We might just do lab clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, see, this is
Yeah.
exciting. This is
Yeah,
the
it's
exciting
really
stuff. I'm
exciting.
like,
It's like, and it's big too. It's like we just moved into a bigger space because we
very
got this
cool.
huge machine that's like the size of a room,
yeah.
and the size of like maybe two of this room.
Yeah.
And it's like I always have to pinch myself. Like we started in the kitchen with Dryerland, and now
Yeah.
we've got this big,
It's
huge
so
machine
cool.
and big warehouse with people.
But I love you giving me a peek inside because, I was looking at, I think a LinkedIn post that you did months ago about how this all started because you used to make clothing for your Barbies.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, this is just so cool, the evolution of extraordinary fashion to wanting to change the industry. And now give us a peek into your facility.
Yeah.
Got the term right. But like, I get to understand the clothing changes, which is fun for me.
Yeah.
So that's cool. All right. So do you have any advice for founders who are where you were in 2020?
Yeah. I would say if you have the means to bootstrap a little bit, it will definitely help.
Yeah.
Because as I said, like when you start selling equity in your company, that equity has a greater value later on than it does at the beginning.
Yep.
And so you have to raise only exactly what you think you're going to need until the next raise. And just raise it when you're ready. And then also, like, again, like, don't take anything personally. You might not get a yes at the beginning, but if you keep people informed and you like them and you
Yes.
get along well with them and they like you, like just develop that relationship without any expectations of that manifesting into an investment, because it doesn't have to. They can help you in other ways, or you can just be part of the scene and they support you from afar. But like every little bit of support helps. Every little bit of like people even knowing your name and like saying, "Oh, I know those guys. They're great."
Yes.
Even if they didn't invest, like just it's all a gift, and like don't throw that away by being bitter if somebody says no, because you're going to hear so many no's.
It's
fine.
true, but being bitter, be bitter for a little bit.
Yeah, but you can always understand why people are saying no, because if it just doesn't match the thesis of their fund, they have to say no.
Yes, it's that cut.
Yeah. And that's usually what it is. Like if you weed people out and they're not deciding on investing in you, it's because you're just not fitting into what they've been told to invest for.
Yeah, I think that it can be very easy after you've gotten a certain amount of no's to get into victim mindset, which is, oh, why me? And nobody likes me and all that jazz. But this is not, it is personal in some way because founders, people are taking bets on the founding team.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you have to match their business case.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you really do. And like everybody's hearing no's. It's not just you. It's like all of us. I don't know anyone who's not hearing no's all the time.
Yeah.
So,
do you find that it was easier to get people on board, both just like emotionally as well as investing, because you're making such positive change potentially in the world?
Well, I would say that it's a nice thing for us because we get better investors. Like we get kinder, more helpful investors.
Yeah.
If it's not just like only for the numbers.
Yeah.
And I'm sure later on at later stages, it will get more number oriented later on, and we won't get quite the same investors. But like early stage, you need that added value. And like the investors who are behind the mission and who really want to help and solve that problem as much as you.
Yeah.
They're going to give that little extra oomph to help because they want to. It's not just about their job or numbers on a page. It's because they want to see you succeed. They want this problem to be solved. And I think that's a huge asset for companies like us who are trying to solve a problem that, we all face.
Absolutely. Any hot takes on fundraising?
Oh, you mean right now?
Yeah.
I mean, I do think that anybody who is interested in solving climate problems, I would hope that they take physical technology more seriously, because I don't really see AI solving a lot of those problems. I think that a lot of these are physical problems. And I know comfort zone is software for a lot of people, but yeah, I guess the message is more for the investors than the companies. But like, I really do think that's where the help is needed. And in terms of like for other investors, hot takes, I think just but begin every meeting by starting to ask about like what needs your investors see.
Yeah.
Like what do they have to do? What do they have to solve? They're raising money just like us.
Yes.
So, and I think people don't realize that. Like they're having a tough time raising money too.
Yeah.
So,
And they can run into hurdles as well. Like there are times when they do a capital call on their investors, they have a certain commitment, and there are times when those don't come through. And there are, that's not good behavior, and there are penalties for those investors, but there are times when they literally can't get the money from their own LPs.
Yeah.
Investor
And
commitments.
also like I think they have to overstretch a little bit sometimes too. It's kind of like the airlines who overbook because you'd have to, because probably half of the companies that you say yes to might not get that round filled and might not be able to raise. So like if you just had the right amount of money for like all the companies you said yes to, you probably wouldn't allocate enough money.
Yeah.
So I think it's really tough. I think everybody kind of dances a line. I the only thing we can do right now is be persistent and to just not take things personally about how the market is. It's just volatile, but like, yeah, I don't know. Other than that, I don't know if I can share any other insight other than that.
No, I think it's wonderful. I'm just so happy that you came in.
Likewise. Thanks for having me.
It's so fun to hear. You've already gotten so far. And I know you from, 5 years ago when you were just starting, right?
I know.
So it's so cool to get that
great.
snapshot and to see how successful you've been in creating the change you want to see in the world.
Thank you. Thanks.
So,
I mean,
I appreciate
we
it.
still have a long ways to go, but
Yes.
I'm really encouraged by all of the support that we have and the wonderful people on our team. And, things are, we're actually making things and it's really exciting. And like I wear our products all the time. And
Isn't that the
so it's-
coolest? Like,
yeah,
I mean, I
love
know
it.
you're used to it
Yeah,
because
no,
you've
I
done
love
this,
it.
but
It never gets old.
literally going from an idea to something that you can put on your body or utilize or touch or feel is just such a rush.
Yeah.
And then seeing it on other people, oh my gosh, like in the wild,
Totally.
that is
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. So thank you for coming in today.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome.
This is fun.
I'm Helena Fogarty, and this was Inside the Round.